most definitely, man. So like even in that sense too, like was that like inspiration, like in that sense too, like kind of helped with the whole like Young Vince, Uncle Vinny like nickname in that sense, or like how did that come about like in your life?
The nicknames came about from just for fun. Like I remember Young Vince was that was high school as well. I actually still have a picture of like, remember the exam attendance list? You'd have to sign those to say you were there. I signed mine as Young Vince and shit. So it was just always a joke. Me and my friends just talk that way, kind of, you know. So Young Vince kind of always stuck. That was like my Instagram name and shit like that. And then Uncle Vinny, it was just that was another like few years later. That was another kind of joke that just started. Like I don't remember how it started exactly, but same thing. I always liked that name, and people like, you know, they when they like it too, I like it. So just always kind of kept those, you know, Uncle Vinny, Young Vince.
Most definitely, man. You know, to just go by, like, you know, speaking about the TV shows, you know, with Sopranos too, I know, like, there was, like, a lot of, like, other dope TV shows from HBO that time, too. Like, The Wire was, like, one of the most, like, popular ones right now, too. I think, you know, Game of Thrones, like, it was also still good, but, like, maybe a little bit, like, past within its time, you know, like, within the mid-2010s, early, like, 2020s and all that. I don't know if you saw the show called, like, Oz. Like that's like one of my.
I've seen some clips on YouTube, bro. Yeah. That's a crazy show.
Yeah, and also they had this mini series episode called like The Corner, which is like a mini series based off like Baltimore like street life and all that. You know, with drug addiction too. Like that was also pretty good. But like just getting into your aspect right now, like what are your like favorite movies, TV shows, and like other forms of content?
Great question, man. Movies for TV shows for sure. Sopranos. I love Seinfeld. Same thing as a kid. I love Seinfeld, The Office. I love that type of shit. Entourage was a great show, HBO show. Movies, there's a ton, man. Of course, Scarface. Of course, Godfather. Of course, Pulp Fiction. All that sort of stuff. This movie, I want to talk about Bliss. Bliss. That was a really cool movie. That's a movie you gotta be fated to watch for sure. But it was I like that movie a lot because it was just pure pushing the boundaries, pure creativity, wild, like crazy, bro. It was just very experimental. I love that. Buffalo 66, another one I want to share for kind of a similar reason, like very unique. You never knew what was gonna happen, unpredictable. So those are just some, I could talk about films and TV for days, bro, but those are some gems for sure.
Yeah, not for me. I know as far as like TV shows, loved Oz. I loved like a lot of like sitcoms too, like with Martin, with like Skins, with I think also too like Fresh Prince too. Like that was also pretty dope as well too. You know, even on My Block, like I gotta shout out like the like new ones too on My Block. Fresh Off the Boat too. Also, I think also Breaking Bad too. Breaking Bad's also like one of my favorites.
Fire. Better Call Saul right now is my favorite show, by the way. Sorry to interrupt you. Love Better Call Saul.
I think Sons of Anarchy too. Sons of Anarchy is also like the best too. Wire also is like one of my like favorites as well too. So we could go on all day too. And then movies.
For sure, man. A lot of good.
I rocked with like Freedom Riders. I rocked with like Menace to Society.
Great one.
Also, Casino's like also like a very great movie too. Dog Day Afternoon. Dog Day Afternoon is like one of like the best like Al Pacino films. Yeah. Like if you got to see it, like it's actually very amazing. You know, like about the whole like bank heist thing. Yeah. Like that was kind of crazy too. And then also like as you said, Godfather. Like Godfather's 1 and 2, and like I didn't like Godfather 3 as much too, but Godfather's like 1 and 2 like called classics.
Amazing,
you know,
man.
Yeah, man.
Amazing.
Yeah, man. So, you know, getting back into your story right now, so in Mississauga, or just like in the GTA in general, were there ever any other inspirations from there that made you want to immerse in the creative arts and media scene, like, from there?
Kind of, honestly, not really for that. Like, I obviously had people in my life that really were great influences on me. But media-wise, there was a few sports guys in the city. I'm a pretty big sports guy, too, and there was some really good sports radio shows at the time, and you know, like Bob McCowan and Cam Stewart too, that I really want to shout out. I always fuck with them, but in terms of other like content creators and shit, not really, bro. I was you know, I grew up with the internet too, so I was watching everything, you know.
Yeah, most definitely, man. And I wanted to get into this like very interesting story for a bit too. So like even with this question right now, so how did you get into podcasting in that sense?
Um, I've always been a fan of watching interviews, man. Even like the Breakfast Club and that. Even like as a kid, sometimes it's 60 Minutes and shit. I always liked that style, long form interviews. And then I'd even thought about podcasting, whatever. Like I'd always heard about it. And then finally, when I was 22, um, man, I was working full time and shit, and I was just learning kind of the ropes with living, bro. Like learning to be responsible and shit. And I felt like if I don't make something happen, and not even to like get rich and famous, but just positively use my time, I won't be happy, man. I won't be doing what I want to do. So podcasting was something that I talked about. I was a fan of doing them, and it was something pretty easy to start, bro. Like literally all I had was a USB microphone, plugged it into my laptop. That's it, like nothing else. And finally I just decided to try it and fucking try it, and since then it's been an important part of my life for sure.
So yeah, most definitely, man. So like I'd say like even like within that situation too, was that the main inspiration on getting into podcasting and like creating content, or were there other like inspirations as well in that sense?
I mean, the main inspiration I'll have to say is just wanting to do something positively. That's it. Like I learned pretty early, like, yo, if I don't make this shit happen in terms of living a life I want to live, no one's gonna give it to me. There's definitely some podcasts that I was big fan of, and the main one is No Jumper. Like the early No Jumpers are fucking classic, when Adam had Lil Peep on there and all those guys, XXX and Dash, like these types of guys. I was that age group, like same age as these guys, and this content was like, it felt like it was made for me, like kind of grimy, underground, uncensored, but real ass guys doing their thing. So No Jumper is a huge influence on me, and even to this day I'm still a big fan. So of all of it, No Jumper is probably that, at that time, it was in my life at a perfect moment.
Yeah, most definitely, man. I know even with No Jumper 2, like, you could tell, like, from their old stuff to, like, now, like, they had, like, a lot of, like, interesting stories from, like, the likes of, like, Gangsta Boo and, like, DJ Paul, and one of my actual favorites, Ryan Holiday, because he's actually, like, a well-known writer that wrote, like, a lot of books, and, like, I saw, like, all three of his, like, podcast episodes, as well as, like, me buying the book, and it was interesting to hear his story too, and then, same with the whole like Peep, X, Chapo, Dash, Craig's, and man, like a lot of them were like very like amazing too, and then, even to now, like with him having like AD as like a co-host too, House Phone, Yazzie, Duno, now
T-Rel.
like man, T-Rel, Sharp too. Like these episodes, like I think the episodes are getting better too, like even with the whole like sex industry, getting like a lot of like sex workers on there, Cripback, even a lot of like the Detroit like music scene, and like a lot of like the whole like street underground rappers from like LA too. Like I do feel like it's like pretty good right now. I do feel like one of the problems that I have noticed, even from like their core fan base in the past too, is that they're not interviewing like a lot of like underground rappers right now with Sofago, Ken Carson, all like that type of scene right now. I don't know if you've like noticed that.
I did, and I think Adam talked about it a little bit. I can't speak for him, but I think what he sees it as is like, I've already kind of done that, and I want someone new to kind of cover that, because, he's been putting in work, man. The thing about Adam, a lot of people don't like him, I feel. I will always fuck with him because the work ethic is there. Like, he put in his work. He interviewed every guy from that SoundCloud era. I don't really feel like he needs to be the guy to do it now. And I think he would too. I don't think he's the type of guy like turn shit down. I just don't think he's seeking that type of interview out anymore.
Yeah, most definitely.
But yeah, shout out Adam though, No Jumper.